Shabbat Shalom. This is Rabbi Max Edwards from Temple B'nai Abraham in Livingston, here with our Federation's Bit of Torah this week for Parshat Vayakhel. I'd like to begin this week's Bit of Torah by looking briefly back at last week's Torah portion in Parshat Ki Tisa in the book of Exodus. Parshat Ki Tisa's central episode is the story of the golden calf. And in looking at the story of the golden calf, one of the themes that come up again and again throughout the story is fire. The golden calf story begins by Aaron taking a mold and molten metal and casting it from the fire and creating this golden calf. And after he casts this golden calf, all of the Israelites make fires in order to sacrifice to this golden calf. Then we read later on, once God and Moshe find out about what's occurred, God's anger blazes forth using this fire-like term. And finally, the conclusion of the story, Moshe takes this golden calf, burns it once again, and grounds it into powder, and makes all of those at one point worshipers drink from this liquid. So it's no surprise that when we open up Parshat Vayakhel, the following Parsha in Exodus chapter 35, we see that this Parsha also begins with fire, but in totally a subversive way that acts to counteract the story of the golden calf. Parshat Vayakhel begins with a injunction that we've heard before, which is that 6 days all of the Israelites shall work, and on the seventh day there will be Shabbat. But it adds an extra layer to Shabbat, and that layer goes like this. You shall kindle no fire throughout your settlements on the Sabbath day. So commentators have asked time and again, why are we talking specifically about this law of kindling no fire on Shabbat? What's so special about it within this parsha, and how does it relate to the larger story? So putting that in mind, and putting in mind this central theme of fire from this divisive story of the golden calf just a few chapters ago, a 17th century Musar author, the Shnei Luchot HaBrit, picks up on fire here and gives us this beautiful interpretation. He writes, the word fire here in Parshat Vayakhel is an allusion to the destructive fire engendered by strife and anger. One needs to be careful not to allow oneself to become angry so that the fire of hatred should not consume such a person. The fire is an allusion to the fire of purgatory that one would suffer as a result. What the Shnei Luchot HaBrit is doing here is he's showing us that fire can be used for incredibly productive ends and also incredibly destructive ends. The fire in Exodus 32, the golden calf story, tore a community apart. It tore our community apart. And when we get to chapter 35 in Parshat Vayakhel, we're given this important piece to say, at least on Shabbat, at least on this one rest day you get every 7 days, try to temper that fire. Try to temper that fire of strife and division and anger and divisiveness, and try to live in this world as it ought to be. This is our role, and this is our goal for every Shabbat, that we should put away all of those fires from the past week, many of which that we have no control over, and we should let that rest, and we should come into our own homes of warmth, warmed not necessarily by the fire that we're kindling, but warmed by the people that we're around, by the community that gives us strength. So may we all have such a strength for this Shabbat and in the coming weeks as well. Shabbat Shalom.